Okay. This is another one very similar to the last one, and there's a couple different ways you can do it. So the first way you can do it, if you look at this and say there's a square root of 4a squared and there's a square root of 144, you can go ahead and see that this is the difference of two squares and factor it as such. So if I did that, I know the square root of 4a squared is 2a, because 2a times 2a is 4a squared. The square root of 144 is 12, and then since there's a subtract in between them, they have different signs because we need the centers to cancel out. So I'll work this backwards real quick. 4a squared plus 24a subtract 24a subtract 144. Right here, 24 subtract 24, and that's why 4a squared subtract 144 factors out to these two. The other way you could do this is we could factor out the 4 first. So we could say, hey, I don't want to mess with big numbers, and have a squared subtract 144 divided by 4 equals 36. So then I'd have my 4, and I'd have a subtract 6 times a plus 6, because the square root of 36 is 6. And then when we go to solve either one of these, I'd have 2a subtract 12 equals 0, and 2a plus 12 equals 0. Over here I'd have a minus 6 equals 0, and a plus 6 equals 0. So I'd add 12, and have 2a equals 12, and then I'd have to divide by 2, and a would equal 6, and then this one I'd subtract 12, and 2a would equal negative 12, so a would equal negative 6 here. Add 6, a equals 6, subtract 6, a equals negative 6. So either way you work it out, you're going to end up with 6 and negative 6. So our answer is negative 6 and 6. I felt like I talked really fast on that one. This next one is really nice. When they say to use this square root method, it's just we're going to take the square root of both sides. Since x is squared, we take the square root of x squared equals the square root of 81. So I'd have x equals, and here's the thing you have to remember, positive or negative 9. So my answer would be negative 9 and 9. Because negative 9 squared, because it'd be equals 81, the same as 9 squared equals 81. Now this one we're doing the square root method again, so we just have to remember it's going to be a positive or negative 4. So I'd have x subtract 3 equals a positive or negative 4, because the square root of a square is itself, and then the square root of 16 would be a positive or negative 4, because up here the same, negative 9 squared is 81, the same as 9 squared is 81. So I'm going to have x subtract 3 equals a positive 4, and x subtract 3 equals a negative 4. So then I'm going to add 3 here and get x equals 7, and I'm going to add 3 here and get x equals negative 1. I'm going to check these now. So using this one, I'd have 7 subtract 3 squared equals 16. 7 subtract 3 would be 4 squared, which is 16. And I'd have negative 1 subtract 3 squared, which is 16, because this would be negative 4 squared, which is 16. So our answers on this one would be negative 1 and 7.